Imagine packing up everything, leaving your country, your family, and your comfort zone to compete in front of billions of people on the biggest stage in the world. Well, these World Cup athletes did just that. So, my question for you today is what fear is keeping you from your world stage? Welcome back to Best Life. And if this is your first time, welcome. I'm Dr. Tora Brown, organizational consultant, and for over 15 years, I've worked with high achieving women, business owners and executives, leaders, caring more than anyone around them probably realizes. And if there's one thing that every single one of them has in common, it's this. Somewhere along the way, fear got a vote in decisions it had no business making. This is Best Life, where we build lives that actually work, using a framework I built around four things. Four things: your body and energy, your expectations, your schedule, and your truth. And today, with the world watching athletes step onto literally the biggest stage that exists, I want to talk about the stage you've been avoiding, because I promise you, you have one too. So, fear is universal. And here's what no one tells you: fear does not go away when you get more successful. Every executive I've ever worked with, regardless of their title, their revenue, their accolades, still feels fear. The nerves before the board presentation, the doubt before the launch, the weight of what it means to truly go for it. Those World Cup athletes feel it too, every single one of them. The difference is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move anyway. And that decision begins in the body, the B pillar, because fear lives in the nervous system. And you cannot think your way past a nervous system in survival mode. You have to regulate your body first and then take the step. And the numbers don't lie. So let's talk about what fear actually costs us, because the data is staggering. In one widely cited career study, women were found to be leaving between $1 million and $1.5 million on the table over a lifetime, simply by not negotiating early in their careers. And that is not a confidence problem. That is a wealth building problem. And in case you're wondering, I got that from NPR. And so here's the part that will make you sit up. Are you ready? More recent research actually shows women ask for raises and promotions at the same rate as men, sometimes higher. Is that shocking? So, then what does that tell us? The real gap isn't in the asking, it's in what happens after. So, there was one UK survey that found that only about 43% of women feel comfortable asking for a pay raise, compared to roughly 64% of men. And even when women do get the raise, they're disproportionately landing in the smallest increase bracket, while men cluster in the largest ones. That's from LinkedIn, if you're wondering. And so let's be precise about what fear is actually doing here. It's not stopping you from showing up. You are showing up, but it's shrinking what you're willing to ask for once you're in the room. That's an expectations problem. That's the E pillar in BEST. You've quietly lowered the ceiling on what you believe you deserve, and then you called it being reasonable. Hmm. Have any of you done that? So, as we listen to this data, we realize most of us aren't being held back by our circumstances. We're being held back by the expectations that we've accepted. We've built a very comfortable cage and started calling it being responsible, being realistic, being practical. But deep down, you know there's a bigger life waiting for you on the outside of those bars. And the truth, that's the T in BEST, is what you've known for a while. You've just been negotiating with yourself about the cost of walking out. In my work, I teach women to distinguish between fear that protects and fear that limits. Protective fear says, don't touch the hot stove. Limiting fear says, don't start the business, don't ask for the raise, and definitely don't move to a new city. So, here's how you tell the difference. And we're going to do this through the best lens. Protective fear aligns with truth. It is grounded, specific, and based in real evidence. Limiting fear contradicts truth. It is vague, catastrophic, and based on what if, not what is. When you're honest with yourself, truly honest, you already know which one is speaking. The question is whether you're willing to act on that truth. So, what does the research say about backlash? Because I also want to name something that research backs up, because pretending it doesn't exist isn't honesty, it's denial. And studies on what's called the backlash effect show that when women advocate strongly for themselves, they're sometimes perceived as rude, less likable, even when they're using the exact script as a man asking for the same thing. And that's a real cultural headwind. It's not in your head. But here's where the truth does work. Knowing that it exists doesn't mean you stop walking into it. It means you walk in prepared, not surprised. The executives I work with who navigate this best aren't the ones waiting for the bias to disappear. They're the ones who've made peace with the fact that visibility always has a cost. And they decided the cost of invisibility is higher. So that becomes a schedule decision. And it's also a body decision. It's kind of a combination of both of them. So, what do I mean by that? Well, schedule. You plan for the moment and you regulate yourself enough to deliver it in a steady, not rattled way. So, your world stage is waiting. So, let's talk about it. It doesn't have to be a stadium like the World Cup players. It might be a boardroom, a stage where you're speaking, a book, a business, a community that you build. But whatever it is waiting. So put it on your schedule. Set the expectation that you are the woman who steps onto it. You're going to step onto that stage and you're going to protect your body's energy so that you arrive ready. And you're going to tell yourself the truth. You were not made to watch from the sidelines or from the stands. You were made to be there. You were made to play. So tell me in the comments, what is one thing fear has been talking you out of? Name it, because naming it is the first step to defeating it. Share this video with someone in your circle who is standing at the edge of their world stage right now. I'm Dr. Tora Brown, and this is Best Life. Subscribe and let's walk into our fear together. Are you ready? Let's go.